This is your Micrography face practice part 1. This is everything you're going to need. So you're going to need your grid, just for the tape, pencil, your Sharpies. There's the half sheet of tracing paper that is smaller than the full sheet. And then of course the Micrography second practice handout. So we're going to start by taking the tape off of your grid, and we only need half of it. The other half you're going to use later on this week. So put the other half back onto the grid, put that aside for later on. All right, then we have our half sheet, and I'm going to line it up perfectly in the upper left-hand corner. And then I'm going to put the tape off to the side to where you're not, to where you're not blocking part of the face. So we want to be able to lift the tracing paper up and down. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start out with is my boundaries for the image. And you can use a ruler if you wish. Okay, all right, then the directions are, first step is to add the value map to make sure all 5 parts of light are represented. And then it says begin with your light values. And you can overlap a little bit less for those areas. For those of you that are a little still hesitant, I'm actually going to demonstrate dark values because I feel like that might be a little bit easier in case you mess up. So for the value map, we want just like the contour of her face, neck. You want the basic outline stuff because we're not drawing this one out. You all know how to draw. We just need to practice the Micrography. Okay, so I am value mapping her hair, so I'm kind of flipping up and down so I can see a little bit better. And probably give myself a couple lines there. Okay, then in the areas that are a little bit less descript, you're definitely going to have to flip up and down. Okay, so over here for the value map, I can kind of see like the mid-tone, like light mid-tone area over here, light mid-tone area underneath her chin, like the area kind of around her mouth. So the lighter mid-tones you are going to value map. So I'm looking at how like it's a little bit darker there. And then I'm outlining the basic shape of what I need to draw her with, but I'm also trying to value map when I'm in that area. And then we're going to adjust, like we'll take this off. It's just to get like the basic structure of her on there. Okay, that stuff we can draw a little bit after we take it off. Okay, let's see. So for her eye. And we'll definitely have to draw a little bit more detail after we take it off, but at least we'll have the location. And really I'm just looking for like the general value map. So this is kind of like when you squint your eyes and make them fuzzy and you can see the value map there. All right, so if you get this far, then you can take off the tracing paper I put the tape off to the side just in case you need it again. Okay, so from there, then I can kind of line up and look at like, okay, so the eye needs to come down a little bit more. So I can adjust. I feel like her eyelid is a little smaller, but that was like some of the shadow that I was able to see. I'm definitely gonna put the crease underneath her eye. Kind of bring her tear duct in a little bit. I can see where the eyeball ends. I can actually see kind of like the highlight in her eye, the pupil area. Lashes, I never draw. They're the very last thing you add anyway. Lashes, never draw. Okay, so then taking a look at her nose a little bit, then I can see like another kind of coarse shadow that flowed along what I had. I'm gonna put it on there and see if I can see a little bit of the other eye. Nada. Okay, but I can give myself some guidelines. Okay. Okay, so then I can see like a strand of hair here. Okay, so this tiny little strand of hair here, I'd probably just delete out. It's so subtle, it's gonna be really hard to do with script, so I would just delete that part out. But I would look at like, where does her mouth line up according to her eye? Pretty much like here. Give yourself a guideline to finish off drawing the rest of her face. And I'm gonna value map her lip, what I can see. Okay, so again, this drawing is, or this image is difficult because you have the subtle values, you have one side of the face in shadow, and I want you to be able to practice on a difficult one to then let you know like how hard or simple should my final draft be? Like, should I pick something a little more simple than a portrait? Okay, so we can always add more as we're working into it. I'm gonna adjust her nose a little bit over here too. Okay. All right, then you're gonna flip your worksheet over. This is the front side that has the pencil on it. I'm gonna flip it upside down, and this part does not have to be perfect. You just wanna put graphite on the back side of your lines. So I'm just, I would make sure that you're using old school wooden yellow pencil because it's less smudgy than mechanical, and you can actually cover more of the line that way. So you don't want to scribble on the whole back side because you're going to have graphite everywhere. Like it gets on your hands, it gets everywhere. So craftsmanship still counts even in practices. So again, remember this part does not have to be perfect. When I flip it back over and I actually trace transfer, then probably going to spend a little bit more time. Okay. So you're going to flip it back over. And I try to line them up so it's a little bit easier. Take the tape off. Tape it down. So notice how like the eye is on the right, the eye is on the right, so it's lined up. Okay, so if you haven't sharpened your pencil, I would sharpen your pencil before doing this because you do want like a fine line transfer. But this is where you will be a little more specific about what lines you're tracing, and you're not just scribbling. You could use pen as well to transfer. That way you can really see where you have traced. So pen works too. You just want pressure. So before I get too far, I'm gonna look and see like, okay, good. I have a really light transfer. Okay, so I have a very light transfer. Then I'll put this off to the side just in case. Don't throw anything away until you're done. And then I'm gonna go back and kind of refine some of my drawing, especially some of my darker parts. Like the fact that here I can kind of see some of her eyelid here, and it scoops down. So you're gonna refine your drawing a little bit. I'm gonna put in like kind of the area with her eyebrow. I'll put in like the curvature of the midtone that I didn't have before. So like some of the subtle values you might have to transfer. Sorry, you might have to draw after you transfer. Okay, so then if your lines are really harsh, like here, I'm gonna lighten up a little bit just to kind of help myself. Doing some further value mapping on the chin. It's like kind of a mid-tone. Those almost connect. Okay, so there is part one.